Hey y'all, this is Fishing Bear 850, and this is Uncle Bear talking to you. We're gonna talk about my favorite bait today. Absolutely, hands down favorite. Matter of fact, brought my go box. Slam full of them. Now, when I say my favorite bait, there is literally one other bait that gets anywhere in the same ballpark, and that's a rattle trap. Y'all bear with me. It's something about a lipless crankbait. And you say rattle trap because rattle trap's kind of the, it's like saying Texas rig. You think of a worm and a weight. There's more to it than that. But when you say this name, it's so iconic, that's all you think of. There's a bunch of people that make this thing, and it's called a vibrating jig, or chatterbait. It's very near. She's very dear to my heart. This little guy right here has won more tournaments, more money, and done more for the fishing industry in the last 10 years than dadgum near anything else besides fluorocarbon line. Now, that said, I'm going to literally stir the pot as thick as you can get and upset some people. And I hope it goes viral. I hope y'all blow this up, because I really think the fishing world needs a change on thought with this. Some people say a medium heavy, moderate action rod is the way to go. That's a 7'2" St. Croix Bass X. Absolutely a phenomenal rod. And I borrowed my son's SLX to put on there. But it is absolutely the wrong rod to use with a chatterbait. This is a Lew's Custom Black. 7'3", medium heavy, fast action. I believe it's more of a heavy than a medium heavy, which is why it works so well. That was before I got my hands on this favorite Absolute. 7'3", heavy, fast action, and I absolutely debate the fast action. If y'all think I'm playing, it bends about there. This is my new chatterbait rod and chatterbait setup, which is why I bought that reel, which is a Revo SX 7-3-1. That's my go-to chatterbait combo right now. It'll change later in life because, well, everything does. That is, in Florida, an absolute perfect chatterbait setup. You can't run something moderate. It's just not gonna work. A lot of reasons, and we'll get into them, but the number one reason is grass. There's way too much of it. It's way too thick, and that moderate rod ain't gonna work. See, because this is still a jig, guys. You use a medium heavy or a heavy action to set a hook with a jig hook, and that's still a hook. That's still a jig hook. How you cut it, how you want to do it, that's a jig hook. So when this little thing is vibrating this little heart out, and that little tail's kicking its little self sideways, and these little fluffies are fluffing and fluffing, and the bass are coming up on it, and they bite this thing, they eat it. That's still a jig hook. That's not a Texas rig. It's not a skinny wire 4-aught or 5-aught EGW. That's a jig hook. It's a big fat hook, super line if you will. So I believe a medium heavy, fast action, or a heavy, moderate action is how you're gonna catch it. You got plenty of backbone in it to set the hook. You got plenty of rod to hold on to them and drive it home. Because this is aggressive. There's finessey parts of it, but this is an aggressive, straight up power fishing technique. Now you can be finessey with your approach, but when you set that hook, it's straight up, it is power fishing. And that's what we do here in Florida. We come at them. Now, I have 3 colors. Don't really deviate from that. I have 3 colors, y'all. I got white, just everyday white. There we go, white. And that's a Zoom super flute, or mini flute. Green pumpkin. They like it. That's what they eat. I have green pumpkin. And that's a Z-Minnow, I believe. I only use 3 trailers, by the way. Start up some more stuff there. This one is my other trailer. I use a Z-Man. And that's a paddle tail. Turn it upside down so this little tail doesn't get affected by this guy. When that blade is running and she looks like this in the water, if you have it upside down, tactical bassin will break it down to you. Why? Trust me. That's where I learned it. Tactical bassin will break down to you. Why? But something about if you turn that around right ways, quote, quote, this will affect it, and the tail almost sticks stagnant. It just sits there, floating. But third color is black and blue. And as you notice, green pumpkin, mini flute. Now, I do deviate. Little rage crawl. Trimmed up this, it's a 3/8. It's the only 3/8 I have I use in the crawl pattern. Now, variation on white, I'll find one with a little bit of green in it, just whatever. I've grabbed the wrong one. It works though. Or red. Everybody knows there's a time and a place during the year for red, and red is where I go to when it's time. But that is a little bit pre-spawn, a little bit spawn, and just a hair of post-spawn in my opinion. I pretty much sit them in there for the rest of the year, and it looks very pretty in your box. The only way I will deviate from green pumpkin, let me grab the one with the thing on there so at least you know what they're looking like here. And if y'all don't think I use them, I mean, this one ain't even got paint on it. White or black and blue. That's it. The only deviation would be this sunfish, and I think that's an elite. Chatterbait elite. But right after the spawn, those little bluegill and sunfish, they do their bed. That's when you bring this one out. They will kill it. They are so angry at them bluegill and sunfish, brim as we call them down here. Now they can be bluegill, red bellies, sunfish, all kind of names for them when you're fishing. Especially when they bite your daggum lipless crankbait. Come up with a whole bunch of names for them real fast, and ain't none of them approvable by children or my wife in her presence. But that's it. Now, how you fishing? Well, that's where we get into some fun. I have a very interesting approach to this, and it came from the fact that I get bored very easily. I don't like sitting there chucking and winding, and I don't like sitting there just sitting on the sideline, and God forbid if I ever have to break out a Texas rig. God, Lord have mercy. If I have to break out a weightless worm, I might as well go home. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. But here's what I do. You throw it out. Now there's the chuck and wind. There's the burn. Bring it straight back to you. There's only a couple of ways to fish these things, in my opinion. Believe me, they're like buttholes, and you know what your daddy told you about that. Everybody got one, and you all know they stink you. You can burn it right back to you. Fish it near cover, fish it near structure, fish it near something on the bottom. Now, if you want to have some real fun, that's where it's going to wind up anyway. So we stayed away from it, but that one works. But you can bring it by structure. You can burn it, you can slow it down. You can literally pop it on the bottom like you would an everyday jig. Or you can change it up. And you can literally turn the game around. There's a technique with a lipless crankbait called yo-yo. Throw your line out there, right? Click, let it sink. Burn it. Burn it up till you feel it come off the ground. You feel that vibration. Stop. Kill it. Dead stop. Let it sink. Pop, pop. Burn up the slack. When you feel it hit the ground, burn up the slack. Let it sit again. Pop, pop. Burn up the slack. They'll hit that thing on the fall. Or when you get it hung in some grass, pop, pop. Pop it to you 2 times. Pop, pop. And you'll feel the bass hit it. And it is the coolest feeling in the world. This right here is probably the most exciting bite I've ever had. Just for the way it is. I love top water, don't get me wrong. I absolutely adore top water. But I'm going to say this. This bite's interesting. Because 9 out of 10 times when the bait's coming down, it hits. And you pop, pop, and it flutters down. Pop, pop, and it flutters like this. That blade's still ticking. All the way down. The bass will come up, you'll pop it and it'll run away from them like a bait fish would. They bite it. I actually run mono. On my heavy, moderate action, I run mono. And a lot of people pick on me, but there's times I'll run fluorocarbon, but for the most part I run a 17-pound mono. It's strong, it works, it gives me just a little stretch. And the reason I want that little bit of stretch, so when that little itty bitty hook right there gets hung in them, I call it little, it's huge. See my whole thumb in there. When that hook gets hung up on them and it wiggles, that mono gives me a little bit of stretch so it doesn't just wiggle and pop right out of the little old mouth. Now, all that said, go out, try these techniques, try burning it. Burn it, burn it, burn it, and just stop it. Then burn it, and stop it. Bring it back to you slow. Drag, kind of run it on the bottom. Gene Jensen, Flute Master, came up with this great idea, and I heard it one time, and I said, that's it. I haven't done it. Throw it out. Do it just like you would a Texas rig or a jig. Drag it. You'll feel it bump, 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 and stop. Reel your slack up. Drag it. I call it the sprinkler. You know, like an old sprinkler when you was a kid. Tick, 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 tick. Tick, 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 tick. Same thing. Tick it, pop up. They'll reel your slack up as you get back to where you are. Drag it again. They'll scoop that thing off the bottom if they're being fickle. And they'll just, and you just hang on for the ride. But that's it. I absolutely adore Chatterbait. I literally have talked to a friend of mine. Big guy bass. And they did it. And they're beautiful. And I love them. And I love doing it. But anyway, y'all take care. How's your mammy doing?